So NASCAR in 2022, one of the most controversial years in NASCAR history. For a good amount of reasons. A few of the reasons being the new car, the new paint schemes, and the new drivers. Now, that's not all, but I'm going to go through every race and break it down, kinda. So, Daytona 500. Most anticipated race of the season, most watched. Uh, of course, the Daytona 500s before this have been pretty bad, not that great. Last year's was rained out, so there was a lot of hype surrounding this Daytona 500 combined with the new car. So, and it put on a show. I mean, there was a flip, there was great racing, there's a new winner, everything you wanted. And then you get onto the mile and a halves. Now, before this, the mile and a halves have not been that great. This is where the next gen car kicks in. It puts on a phenomenal show, both at Auto Club and Las Vegas. You get Kyle Larson winning Auto Club and Alex Bowman winning Las Vegas in a pretty controversial finish because Busch gets screwed out of a win. Like a lot of the year. But yeah, after that, you get on to Phoenix, which doesn't put on that much of a show. Pretty bad race, but it gets better from there. Atlanta. This is where it starts to get interesting. Now, Atlanta was a mile and a half the year before. This year, it is a super speedway type figure. Puts on a great race, a lot of good racing, a lot of crashes, all of that, everything you want in NASCAR. And you get William Byron winning it. Now, the next week, Circuit of the Americas. This is the second year track and a road course. Now, NASCAR is known for going ovals. This is a road course. They turn right instead of left. NASCAR drivers, some can't handle it, so there's a lot of spins and stuff. And then it all comes down to the wire when AJ Allmendinger, Alex Bowman, and Ross Chastain, we'll get into him later on, all go for it at the end. AJ Allmendinger bumps him. So Ross Chastain, being a watermelon farmer, decides to go for it and punts him and then smashes a watermelon afterward. Yeah, it gets him on the list a little bit. Next week at Richmond. This is where it starts the show. The next gen isn't that great on short tracks. So Denny Hamlin wins it in a few mileage. A lot of people start questioning the next gen at this point because it's made to be better at racing, but the racing wasn't all that great there. Yeah, it'll be fine at Martinsville, right? Nope. Most boring race of the season. There were like one caution, two cautions, and then like two more because of the stages. Mostly Hendrick drivers dominate it, and William Byron ends up winning it. Alright, whatever. Next week, Bristol Dirt on Easter night. Now, this race is also pretty hyped up, because the year before, it had been a mess. So this race, on an Easter Sunday, Darrell Waltrip comes back, boogity, all of that. And then it comes down to the wire at the end with Reddick and Briscoe going at it. Both spin out. Kyle Busch wins. Favorite race of the year. No, it was a good race though. It wasn't my favorite. Next week, Talladega. Ross Chastain wins it after a big crash at the end. And a few other big crashes. Whatever. This, of course, he smashes a watermelon. Starts to get up there on people's list. Of course, the year before, Trackhouse was a pretty mid-pack team. This year, of course, the next gen equalizes everything, and you get a great team now. Next week at Dover, Chase Elliott ends up winning it after taking it away in like the second half of the race, after Kyle Busch dominates the first part. Next week at Darlington, pretty boring, or not a boring race at all. There were crashes and William Byron gets dumped by Logano for the win, which is pretty controversial, but it's cool. Kansas the week after that, Kurt Busch gets his possible last win after beating Kyle Larson for it. Week after that, Texas, we don't even have to talk about that because that race sucked. Charlotte, best race of the season for a multitude of reasons. Great racing, a lot of crashes, and a great finish. And that's where starts to decrease, and the week after that is Gateway. It was a good race. I mean, there's nothing really bad about it. Highlight of the race was probably Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin starting the rivalry. Of course, two drivers who will be dirty at times or aggressive. Week after that, Sonoma, Daniel Suarez wins. That's about it for that one. And then there's a week break, then Nashville. So Nashville, first race of NBC after Fox is finally done. And it's pretty good race. Mickey Mouse wins. Chase Elliott. Kyle Busch gets screwed over like every race this season. And then week after that is Road America. Tyler Reddick gets his first win after beating Chase Elliott. Week after that is Atlanta. Chase Elliott wins after moving Corey LaJoie up into the wall. Week after that, New Hampshire. Christopher Bell gets his first win. Pretty boring race, but cool winner. Pocono Raceway. I was at this race. It was a pretty good race. The JGR cars were, of course, pretty dominant. We'll get into that. It was a good race. A lot of great-looking cars. And then Denny Hamlin wins, or so we thought. About an hour after the race, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin get disqualified for tape, and Chase Elliott wins. Course is a chaotic race where Chastain finds a secret tunnel and uses it. Week after that is Michigan, where Kevin Harvick breaks his winless streak. Not much to talk about there. Richmond, Kevin Harvick wins again after not winning for like 30 races or something. Week after that, Watkins Glen. Kyle Larson wins after moving Chase Elliott. Week after that, Daytona. Daytona, very chaotic, and this is before the playoffs. So Austin Dillon wins, knocks out Martin Truex, and Ryan Blaney gets in. Week after that is the saddest race of the season. Kyle Busch would end up dominating about most of the race, winning stage 2, and then blowing an engine after Martin Truex. And then Eric Jones won for the King. So some like it, some don't. It was a sad race. Next week at Kansas, Kyle Busch spins. There are a few wrecks, and Bubba Wallace wins. That's really all about that one. Next week after that, Bristol. Bristol was kind of chaotic, but not in racing style. Kyle Busch blows another engine, ruins his playoffs. Sad moment. Then Christopher Buescher ends up winning. It makes no sense, but jeez, this is 2022. Texas, most chaotic race probably. Everyone blows a tire. Somehow Tyler Reddick wins, and that's about it. Talladega, Chase Elliott steals the win from Ryan Blaney. Fans were happy and not happy about that. Charlotte Roval, just an absolute chaotic win where Chase Elliott dominates, then Bell wins. Next is the round of 8, which starts off with Las Vegas, where Bubba Wallace and Larson fight. Well, not really a fight, but and then Logano wins over Chastain. Next week, Homestead, Miami. Larson dominates, gets his third win of the season, and Bubba Wallace is sad. Next race, Martinsville. This was a very boring race, most of it. Busch was not doing very good. And Chastain at the end gets into the championship 4 by wall riding, and it effectively makes NASCAR relevant again. Good job, Ross Chastain. Next week, the championship. Phoenix Raceway. Joey Logano wins the championship after Chase Elliott spins out, Ross Chastain second, Belford. Now, I could have gone more in depth with, like, the whole season, all of that, but I didn't really want to. I didn't want it to be, like, 25 minutes of me rambling on about how Busch did bad and all of that. So, yeah, that was just, like, the key moments from the season, in my perspective. Now, this season was good, in my opinion. The first half was definitely better than the second half of the season. Second half was just a chaotic mess. But the first, it was only really the tires. And there was a lot of great racing in the first half. Second half, good racing too. Just, there was a lot of controversy. So I would give this season about an 8 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought of it. And yes, Bush is definitely my favorite driver.